Have you ever felt like people are treating you a little differently these days, but you can't quite put your finger on why? I'm Dr. David Collins, and after decades of working with older adults, I've learned something surprising. Even the most vibrant, kind-hearted seniors sometimes send signals they don't intend to. It's not because they've changed inside. It's because of a few subtle habits, small, everyday things that others quietly notice but rarely mention out loud. You see, most people are far too polite to say anything. They won't tell you that your tone of voice has become louder than you think, or that your clothes look a little worn, or that your posture seems more closed off than it used to. And so, without meaning to, you may be giving off the wrong impression, like being less approachable, less engaged, or less confident than you truly are. But here's the good news. These habits aren't permanent. In fact, once you recognize them, they're easy to adjust, and the impact can be remarkable. I've seen men and women in their 70s and 80s make a few small shifts, then suddenly find themselves being greeted with more warmth, included in more conversations, and feeling more respected and energized than they had in years. This conversation isn't about judgment, it's about awareness, about taking back control of how you're seen and how you feel in your everyday life. In just a few minutes, we're going to look at 8 common habits that many older adults develop without realizing it. These are behaviors that, left unchecked, can quietly create distance between you and the people around you. But with a little guidance and a few thoughtful changes, you can restore the presence, charm, and connection that you've always had, and keep it strong for years to come. So, if you're ready to take a closer look, not just at how others see you, but at how you carry yourself with grace and confidence, let's begin. What you'll discover might surprise you, and it just might change the way you move through the world, one small habit at a time. Many older adults take pride in who they are, but over time, small things like grooming can quietly slip away without notice. It's not about vanity, it's about the message we send to the world. A well-groomed appearance speaks of care, dignity, and presence. When we begin to skip haircuts, wear the same clothes too often, or forget to trim our nails, we might not notice the change ourselves. But others often do, even if they're too polite to say anything. Let me tell you about Mr. James, a vibrant 81-year-old who used to show up at church every Sunday with a crisp shirt and polished shoes. But over the years, he got comfortable. His hair grew unruly, he wore the same old flannel week after week, and his shoes stayed dusty. No one mentioned it. But slowly, he noticed fewer people stopping to chat after service. One day, he looked in the mirror and barely recognized the tired man staring back. That day, he got a fresh haircut, put on a clean jacket, and something shifted. People smiled more, he felt lighter, and most importantly, he felt like himself again. Scientific studies have shown that grooming isn't just about appearance. It affects how we feel and how we're perceived. Clean, well-fitted clothes, trimmed facial hair, and even basic skincare like a little moisturizer or lip balm can brighten our presence. And when we look refreshed, we act more confidently. It's a feedback loop. You don't have to spend hours getting ready. A regular haircut every few weeks, trimming your nails once a week, and keeping your clothes clean and in good shape is often enough. If you have facial hair, keeping it neat can make a big difference. And when it comes to skin, a gentle moisturizer can help prevent the dryness that often comes with age. Remember, grooming isn't about impressing others. It's a quiet way of honoring yourself, telling the world, I still care, I still show up. When we care for our appearance, we invite others to see us with the same respect and warmth we carry inside. As we get older, changes in hearing can creep in so gradually that we may not even notice. One of the unintended results is speaking louder than we mean to, or even interrupting others mid-conversation. These habits rarely come from a lack of manners. In fact, they often come from a place of enthusiasm or simple misjudgment. But without realizing it, we can start to dominate conversations, making others feel talked over or less heard. Let me tell you about Mr. Allen, a 76-year-old who loved gathering with friends for coffee. Over time, he began speaking louder and louder without meaning to. He also had a habit of finishing other people's sentences. At first, everyone smiled politely, but gradually, folks started inviting him out less often. He felt puzzled and a little hurt. One day, his daughter gently suggested he get his hearing checked. After a simple test, he found he had moderate hearing loss, something very common at his age. With a small hearing aid and conscious practice to slow down and listen more, his relationships began to improve. Friends leaned in again. Conversations became easier. He felt like he was truly connecting again. Research shows that communication is a two-way dance. When one person dominates the rhythm, even without intending to, others may feel left out or unheard. And sometimes, speaking too loudly can unintentionally come across as aggressive or impatient, especially when combined with frequent interruptions. But the good news is, it's easy to adjust once we're aware. Begin by watching how others respond when you speak. Are they leaning back, looking uneasy, struggling to interject? If so, try pausing more often. Let the other person finish their thoughts before jumping in. If your hearing isn't what it used to be, get it checked. A hearing aid isn't a defeat. It's a tool to stay engaged with life. Also, remember that silence isn't a gap to fill. It's a space to breathe, to think, to make room for connection. People appreciate being heard just as much as they appreciate being understood. In the end, thoughtful communication strengthens every relationship. With just a little awareness, we can make our conversations warmer, more balanced, and more rewarding, both for ourselves and the people we love. It might seem like a small thing, but the clothes we wear send signals long before we say a word. As we get older, it's easy to fall into the habit of wearing the same outfits over and over. Maybe they're comfortable. Maybe we just don't think much about it anymore. But the truth is, outdated, baggy, or faded clothes can unintentionally make us appear less engaged or even older than we feel inside. Take Mr. Thomas, for example, an 80-year-old retired teacher who had always been known for his sharp mind and warm personality. But over time, he started dressing the same way every day: loose jeans, stretched-out shirts, and worn-out sneakers. He didn't see it as a problem, but at a family gathering, his niece gently asked if he was feeling all right. "You just don't look like yourself lately," she said. That comment stayed with him. The next week, he tried on a fitted button-down shirt, a fresh pair of slacks, and polished shoes. The reaction was immediate. People smiled more, paid him compliments, and he even noticed himself standing taller. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who dress with intention, not necessarily following trends, but choosing clothes that fit well and feel fresh, tend to feel more confident and are perceived as more energetic. It's not about fashion, it's about presence. So what can you do? You don't need a whole new wardrobe. Start with a few key pieces: a crisp shirt that fits your frame, a pair of pants that sit just right, and shoes that feel both supportive and stylish. Avoid clothes that are too loose or worn thin. They can signal disinterest or neglect, even when that's not how you feel at all. And if you're unsure what looks good on you now, ask for a little help. A trusted friend, a grandchild, or even a friendly store clerk can offer guidance with kindness. Often, it only takes 1 or 2 changes to refresh your whole look. Dressing well in later life isn't about trying to look younger. It's about honoring who you are, someone with wisdom, life experience, and dignity. When your appearance reflects your inner vitality, people see you more clearly. And you feel it too every time you catch your reflection and smile. We all know someone who always seems to find something wrong with the world. Sometimes, without meaning to, we become that person. As we get older, it's natural to notice how things have changed, and not always for the better. But constant complaining or criticizing can slowly create distance between us and the people we love. Let me tell you about Mr. Allen, a 76-year-old grandfather who had a sharp memory and loved to share stories from his youth. But lately, most of his conversations revolved around what was wrong, how young people didn't have manners, how technology ruined everything, how prices kept going up. His family still cared deeply for him, but they started shortening visits or avoiding longer talks. One day, his teenage grandson quietly asked, "Grandpa, is there anything you actually like these days?" That moment hit him hard. Allen realized that while he never meant to sound negative, his words weren't bringing joy to those around him. He made a conscious effort to shift his focus. Instead of starting with a complaint, he began asking questions, sharing lighthearted memories, or simply listening more. Slowly, conversations with his children and grandchildren became warmer again. You see, negativity, even in small doses, can be draining. And when it becomes a habit, people may pull back, not out of disrespect, but because the interaction leaves them feeling heavy. That doesn't mean you have to hide your feelings or pretend everything is perfect, but balance is key. A little humor, a kind observation, or genuine curiosity can shift the tone of any conversation. So how can you begin? Start by noticing your patterns. Do you often lead with a complaint? Do your comments leave others silent or unsure how to respond? If so, try pausing before you speak. Ask yourself, is this adding warmth, connection, or insight? Or is it simply venting? Being mindful of what you share doesn't mean silencing your truth. It means choosing your words in a way that builds bridges, not walls. When your voice uplifts rather than critiques, people naturally want to stay a little longer, talk a little more. And if this reminder feels helpful to you, I invite you to keep listening. You might be surprised how small shifts in daily habits can open up big changes in how others respond to you and how you feel about yourself. Sometimes, it's not what we say, but how we carry ourselves that speaks the loudest. As we age, our posture and body language can gradually shift in ways we don't even notice. Slouching, shuffling when we walk, or avoiding eye contact. These changes might seem small, but they often send a silent message to the world. I'm tired, or worse, I've given up. Let me share the story of Mrs. Irene, 83, who had always been full of life. She still walked daily and enjoyed talking with neighbors. But over time, people began offering her help more often, even when she didn't need it. Some would speak more slowly to her or assume she was fragile. At first, she didn't understand why. Then one day she saw a photo of herself standing with rounded shoulders, arms folded, and eyes looking down. That image made her realize her posture was telling a different story than how she actually felt inside. From that moment on, Irene made a few simple changes. She stood taller by imagining a string gently lifting her head. She walked with more intention, took fuller steps, and started making eye contact during conversations. The result was remarkable. Not only did she feel stronger and more present, but others began responding to her with greater respect and warmth. The truth is, body language shapes how we are perceived, and even how we feel about ourselves. Research shows that upright posture and open gestures are linked with greater confidence, vitality, and even positive mood. Meanwhile, slouched shoulders, crossed arms, or closed-off expressions can unintentionally signal disinterest or weakness. So, what can you do to stay aware of this habit? Start by checking in with yourself. Notice how you sit, stand, and walk. Are your shoulders tense? Is your gaze downward? Practicing small posture cues, like rolling your shoulders back or lifting your chest slightly, can gently reset your alignment without discomfort. Also, during conversations, keep your body open. Uncross your arms, face the other person directly, and let your hands move naturally. These small shifts help others feel more connected to you and help you feel more connected to them. You don't need to be perfect. Just being a little more intentional with how you move and hold yourself can quietly transform the way others experience your presence and how you experience your own strength every single day. It's one of those things people notice immediately, but rarely bring up bad breath or body odor. As we grow older, changes in our body, medications, or even diet can quietly affect how we smell. And since our sense of smell often declines with age, we might not even realize it ourselves. But others do. And rather than tell us directly, they may quietly step back, shorten conversations, or avoid getting too close. Take Mr. James, a 78-year-old retired teacher. He was known for his warm personality and loved chatting with friends at the local cafe. Over time, though, he began to notice people keeping a bit more distance. Conversations felt shorter. One day, his daughter gently asked if he had changed his mouthwash recently, and that's when he started to pay attention. He hadn't realized that a few small changes, including new medication and drinking less water, had led to dry mouth and subtle changes in his scent. With a few simple adjustments, everything changed. He started staying hydrated, switched to an alcohol-free mouthwash, and began chewing sugar-free gum between meals. He also started rotating his shirts more often and switched to a breathable fabric. Almost immediately, people leaned in again. Interactions felt warmer, and James felt more confident. The reality is, dry mouth is a common cause of bad breath in older adults. When the mouth lacks saliva, bacteria multiply, leading to persistent odor. Likewise, body chemistry changes with age, and that can make deodorants less effective or old habits less reliable. Sometimes, even wearing the same clothes too many times before washing them can add to the issue. So, what can you do to stay ahead of it? First, drink plenty of water throughout the day. It helps keep the mouth moist and naturally freshens your breath. Chewing sugar-free gum or sucking on mints can stimulate saliva, which helps prevent dryness. Choose gentle, alcohol-free mouthwash to clean without irritation. For body odor, opt for breathable clothing, shower regularly, and change your clothes often, especially shirts, undergarments, and socks. And don't forget the basics. Washing bed sheets, hats, or scarves can make a big difference too. These small habits not only help you feel clean, but also ensure that others feel comfortable and connected when they're near you, creating a space of warmth, not distance. It's comforting to reflect on the past, the golden years, cherished memories, or times when life felt simpler and slower. But sometimes, without meaning to, older adults get stuck there. When every conversation circles back to how things used to be, it can make others, especially younger people, feel left out or disconnected. Let's take Mr. Franklin, 76, who loved talking about the good old days. Whether he was chatting with his neighbors, his grandkids, or even the grocery clerk, he would always say, "Back in my day," or "Things were better when." At first it came across as nostalgic and even endearing. But over time, people began to feel like he didn't care about the present or what they had to say. His grandson, Ben, once quietly said, "Grandpa, I want to hear your stories, but I also want to tell you about mine." That simple comment helped Franklin shift. He realized he had been using the past as a comfort zone, but in doing so, he'd been closing off new connections. He started to listen more, ask questions about others' lives, and only shared his memories when they fit naturally into the conversation. The result? Deeper conversations and stronger bonds. The truth is, when we focus too much on the past, we risk sending a message that the present no longer matters. And while our stories are valuable, relationships are built in the here and now. People want to feel heard, seen, and connected in today's moment. So what can you do instead? Share your memories with intention, not to compare or criticize, but to offer perspective or spark conversation. Balance it by asking others about their experiences, their dreams, and what excites them now. Practice curiosity. It's one of the most engaging traits at any age. And remind yourself, the present is still full of stories worth living, not just remembering. By staying interested in the world around you, you send a clear message that you're still growing, still listening, and still connected. And that makes people want to be around you, not just for your wisdom, but for your presence. Many older adults, often without realizing it, begin to speak about themselves in a way that downplays their value. They might say things like, "Oh, I'm just old," or "Don't mind me, I probably don't understand," or even apologize for taking up time. These phrases might seem harmless, but over time, they chip away at how others see you and how you see yourself. Let me tell you about Ms. Darlene, 79, a woman who had lived a rich life filled with stories, challenges, and wisdom. But every time she entered a room or joined a conversation, she'd begin with a little apology. "Sorry I'm so slow," or "I'm probably not making much sense." People would smile politely, but they also stopped asking her opinion or involving her in decisions. One day a friend gently said, "You know, you don't have to keep apologizing for being here. We love hearing from you." That moment stayed with Darlene. She began to notice how often she downplayed herself, and how that shaped her interactions. So she made a shift. Instead of apologizing, she started saying, "Thanks for your patience," or "Let me take a moment to think." Her tone changed, and so did the way others responded to her. She felt more respected, more included, and more alive. You see, when you constantly excuse yourself or act as though your presence is a burden, people begin to believe it. But when you speak with quiet confidence, even if your voice shakes a little, You remind everyone, including yourself, that you still matter. So here's what you can try. Notice your self-talk. If you catch yourself apologizing unnecessarily or putting yourself down, pause. Replace it with appreciation or assurance. Instead of, "I'm too old for this," say, "I'm still learning," and that's a good thing. Instead of, "Sorry I forgot," say, "Thanks for reminding me." These shifts are small but powerful. They help you maintain dignity, connection, and inner strength. Not just in how others perceive you, but in how you feel about yourself. You've lived a life full of meaning, and you still have much to offer. No apology needed. As we grow older, it's easy to forget just how much influence we still carry. The way we speak, move, dress, and treat ourselves. These little things shape how others respond to us and how we feel inside. The truth is, you don't need to change who you are. Just bring a bit more awareness and kindness to how you show up each day. A small shift in grooming, posture, tone, or self-talk can remind the world and yourself that you're still here, still vibrant, still valuable. So take a moment now. Which habit resonated with you the most? And what small step can you take today to honor your presence? If this message has spoken to you, consider subscribing so we can keep walking this journey together. You matter, and the world still needs your light.